Welcome back to the Herman Cain Show. Thank you for joining us. We've got coming up in the next hour, as you know, Jamie Dupree as well as Rapid Fire. We normally do our GPS segment here, but as part of our candidate forum where we are having some of the candidates running for governor here in the state of Georgia as well as candidates running for the United States Senate. As a matter of fact, we have invited all of them. And so in this segment, we're going to be talking with Dr. Andrew Hunt, who is the Libertarian candidate for governor here in Georgia. Welcome, Dr. Hunt.
It's an honor to be on your show.
Thank you very much, sir. And you're running against the current governor, Nathan Deal, Jason Carter, who's the Democrat candidate, and you are the Libertarian candidate. And two questions that we gave you heads up on I want to start with, and that is, I believe that Georgia's economy depends in part on our national economy. And so if our national economy takes off, it's not with these policies, by the way, how would you leverage that as governor for the benefit of the Georgia economy?
Well, we have to look at policies and principles here in the state that will work whether the national economy goes strong or goes bust. Right now we're having a large down market, and so that might be foretelling of some issues coming ahead.
Right.
But in either condition, I, Hunt for Governor, will put out a program that will bring back true free enterprise and end the crony capitalism that is just terrible in our state. We have the highest unemployment rate in the nation. We have one of the highest poverty rates in the nation. We have poor education, and we're rated as the most corrupt state. We need open, transparent government that serves the people and establishes free enterprise. I would do that by having a job powerhouse program where instead of penalizing jobs with taxes and then giving money only to large major corporations that have contributed a lot to specific campaigns, I would have a platform where each and every full-time job paying at least $11 an hour, I'm not putting a minimum wage order out or anything, but I just only want to incentivize quality jobs, would get back approximately 8% of what they pay, which covers the sin taxes on jobs we have here in the U.S. Companies get taxed when they provide a job, whether they make a profit or not. And these are payroll taxes. I call them employment penalty taxes. And you talk about a disincentive. We don't want those type of taxes at all.
Right. We've seen them at the federal level, and you're right. We have many of them here at the state level. Do you believe that the federal government has imposed too many unfunded liabilities or too many unfunded mandates on the states?
Yeah, it's huge unconstitutional overreach by the federal government. The Constitution, which is not being abided by, gives the federal government certain areas of power, and it overreaches it in a new number of different areas and avenues. I'll go over some. The EPA, education, health, transportation, Frank Dodd Act, open borders, where we have all these immigrants coming in, and then states have to cover the cost of all these illegal immigrants, whether it's education or health care or law enforcement. These are huge burdens on the state budgets that are done because the federal government's not doing its job in securing the border for us.
Do you think that the administration has done a decent job in handling the, let's start with the ISIS crisis, the threat of ISIS in this country?
Well, I mean, a lot of these crises, you can go back a decade or two where we went into the Middle East and caused the people there to become upset with us. We're going into areas there and doing wars and controlling governments, and if we had avoided that and saved trillions of dollars in taxpayers' money and many American lives, we might not be seeing the issues we have right now. Some of our foreign policies are not good. Now, ISIS is a terrible thing, but then again, many of the politicians were looking at funding the rebels against Syria. Well, that's ISIS that they're talking about. So you're looking at one hand funding the startup of ISIS, and now we're fighting ISIS. This is our the issue with our foreign policy. But as a governor, it's not in my forte to be able to do anything about these major issues that we have.
That is true. What about the handling of the Ebola threat, since the CDC is located here in Georgia? How do you think that's being dealt with by the administration and the CDC?
Well, I think that the CDC is a quality organization. It has been well funded by Congress, and we've seen that Emory, which is a specialty center which receives special funding for this, handled the case as well. We can see the other hospitals in other areas aren't handling it right, and it doesn't help at all when the current governor makes a statement such as water kills Ebola.
He said that?
He said that. Our sitting governor, Deal, said that. And Hunt for governor will always work with experts. In fact, I have some expertise in the area. I'm actually a nanotechnologist, and one of my patents is on antimicrobial materials. And the material I worked with has been found by other researchers in the Ebola area. I never worked with Ebola myself,
right,
but they found it to be one of the most effective materials against Ebola and being able to kill it. So, I know quite a bit about microorganisms and how they work and how to kill them, and it's just wrong to have people, and that's the problem. You have someone like an attorney like Deal. Carter's an attorney also, and what you need is a businessman and an engineer, someone that can really discern what's right and wrong and not just listen to a bunch of different views and try and pick one out of the hat to go with.
Right. What would be your top 3 priorities as governor?
Well, we need to have tax reform, and that's part of my job powerhouse. I already talked about one part of that. The other part is we have the 9th highest income tax rate in the whole nation. This is a Republican-run state, and you have the 9th highest in the nation. They're not doing their job at all. I would cut that income tax rate from 6% down to 4% and raise the base level of that max rate. There'd only be one rate from $7,000 up to $25,000 because you don't want to be taxing people that are hardly getting by.
How would you offset the revenue?
Well, one thing you do is you uniformly and evenly apply all of your taxes. There are so many loopholes, exemptions, and other things that you can cover a lot of it that way, but I would be reducing the overall tax burden in the state. I'll be cutting out waste and also programs that aren't needed anymore in the state. So you do those. And then another area, one of the key areas that Hunt for Governor will address is education. All through the U.S., we overfund and underperform compared to other industrialized nations. And in Georgia, we're in the lower half of those performing states. Well, I want our state to be a top 20 in education because this gives people a hand up in life. When you give people a hand up in life, you can cut out some of these handouts that everyone complains about and we all want to get rid of. And so you just continue this bad cycle of poverty if you don't get quality education. And we have schools actually in areas graduating less than 50% of their students. That is almost criminal in my mind, and we must change that. I would do it by having school choice. The parents get to choose the school they go to. That gives free enterprise, choice, and competition among the schools. I would have educational savings account like they have in Arizona. That's a program that's working there. Let's implement it here. And then you have a variety of school offerings. You inspire the school districts to offer, traditional education, but vocational, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics schools. You have blended schools where kids can go at different rates, and art-based educational systems too, because some people function better when brought in and educated by the abstract, and it's not the same for everyone. Common Core is not good because it tries to put the same thing on everyone, where God did not make us all the same. We're independent. We're individuals, and we all have our gifts and abilities, and we need to maximize those if we want to see the great future potential in Georgia and the America that we can have.
Economy, education, you did mention the third one.
Yes, so fairness and freedom. It's a kind of a catch-all for many things. There's so many laws and regulations reducing our rights.
Yes.
And instead of lawmakers like attorneys, Deal and Carter, I'm going to be a law raiser. Hunt for Governor will reduce our regulations that burden our lives. We're going to enhance our freedoms. We're going to have it that I'm going to claim state rights underneath the 10th Amendment. We're going to pass laws and rules that claim our rights to areas that aren't enumerated in the Constitution for federal powers, so that we can then run our own systems more ably and have the legal rights to do so. We need to have our own independent education. We need to do our health care also. We need to make sure that we have open free marketplace and not insurance-forced ones. So there's direct patient relationships with doctors and health groups or medical co-ops that can save a lot of money to the consumer, enhance the service, but actually the healthcare providers end up making more money. So it's a win-win. You're cutting out these major corporations and doing direct relationships without all the paperwork.
For those that are just joining me, this is the Herman Cain Show, and I'm speaking with gubernatorial candidate Dr. Andrew Hunt as part of our candidate forum. We've invited all of the gubernatorial and senatorial candidates onto the show today and tomorrow, and then next Thursday, next Friday. In the last minute that we have, Dr. Hunt, the Libertarian Party has, from time to time, run candidates for the Senate and the governor's office and many others. How successful has the Libertarian candidates been over the years? And I don't recall them pulling any upsets in some of the races, not just here in Georgia, but also across the country.
Yeah, times are changing. Just a recent Gallup poll brought out that a majority of Americans now want a third party. That just came out in the last few weeks. Majority of the Americans are dissatisfied with the job being done by our Democrat and Republican Party. If everyone will vote Hunt for governor, then you will have a new path forward. This will bring forth a way of change to bring the government back to be by the people and for the people, with less taxes, more personal freedom. And that's what we need to get to. We need to get back to a constitutionally run government that really has a level playing field, but an excellent opportunity for people to develop their skills. Hunt for governor will bring that if you'll just vote for me this fall. From now all the way to November 4th, the polls are open, and the big voting day, of course, is November 4th.
Right. Well, Dr. Hunt, I want to thank you for being on the show, being a part of our forum, and wish you well in the rest of your race. I know a little bit about running in a race and how demanding it can be, so I wish you well, and thank you again for coming on the show, sir.
It was a pleasure being with you, and it's a lot of time and effort, and as you know, they try to attack you on a personal level, and it's just wrong. We need to get it where we stay on the issues and keep working ahead on making just a great government.
I know about being attacked on the personal level. Thanks a lot, Dr. Hunt.
Okay, you have a wonderful day.
Will do.